Now let me just see, how many ducks are there? There's one, two. Oh, sorry, we're on camera. I was just counting the ducks over to your right,
Seven.
Kirk, and I wasn't sure if you
Seven.
had one for Christmas lunch. How was your Christmas?
No. Wonderful. We just hung out at home. We supported local businesses by ordering out, had some nice roast beef. So I'm just hanging out here until my number comes up and it was gone with the draft. No, wait, that's an old
But hey,
song from the 40s.
you've got
I
some
think that
exciting
maybe
things
was
to
it
look
too.
forward to next
When
year.
I get that shot.
You've got a very, very older than you president. You'll have a
Yes.
vaccine. Maybe
Let's
the
hope.
casinos will open. Next
Well,
year
they're
is
here.
looking
They're
better.
open. They're open. The thing is, the buffets need to open back up. That was an amazing day back on March 17th. It was St. Patrick's Day. And at Stations Boulder, which I used to play at a lot, we used to have good luck there. They were having corned beef, and it was just delicious. To their credit, it was fabulous, but it was just kind of a surreal experience because we finished the buffet and they were turning off the machines. Now, my partner, Mark, this is my sixth year here living in Las Vegas. And after I'd have a losing session, which, occasionally does happen, you don't always win gambling. And, I said, don't worry, they won't close. But they did. They closed for, I think, 75 days, 73. It was in the 70s. So that was just traumatic, a traumatic year here for Las Vegas. And then the wildest thing is all these orders issued in various states. Order you to stay home. You must stay home. And the penalty for disobeying that order, you must stay home. Nothing. Now, it's very difficult to enforce rules and social norms when the penalty for disobeying is nothing, except, of
Well, I
course,
was
killing
very
your
happy.
neighbor.
I was actually happy because I put a call into my friend Donald Trump, and I said, "Look, we need to have some laws out that will stop Kirk from singing too loud." And part of it was you were not allowed to sing too loud at Christmas. And thank you to Donald.
No. No, well, it's interesting. I think if he had gone with the cash back in the summer, we had, of course, the big relief bill in the spring, and then we bogged down with Mitch McConnell delaying everything. The Democrats passed legislation months ago. Mitch McConnell in the Senate says, no, 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 you can't have no more. And I haven't even been doing any marijuana. I don't drink that much, but marijuana, legal here in Nevada, we give it a thumbs up. But I think if Donald had gone along and said, let's go ahead with the $2.2 trillion relief bill in the summer, that would have been enough, at least in the key states, to swing the election. But no, now he's having just a narcissistic breakdown, and we hope the world can survive for the next couple of weeks until the 20th
Yeah,
of
and the
January.
other way he could have won, which you're overlooking, is that he could have had maybe the state police pull up the truck that had that truck full of ballots from New York to
Not
Pennsylvania.
even Bill Barr.
Maybe he
That's
could have
why
done that, but
Bill Barr is no
that would be
longer
using the
the
law to your advantage, and you can't stop a
Attorney
truck with all
General.
those ballots.
Even Bill Barr, you could not ask for a more sycophant attorney general. Even he said, you've gone too far, Donald. You've gone too far. Even Pat Robertson, the evangelist Pat Robertson, who like 100 years ago tried to run for president himself, even he said, the gig's up. Geraldo Rivera, one of Trump's talk show friends. Give it
Okay,
up, Donald. So it'll be fascinating to
okay.
see what
As the
happens. But
year,
I'm ready to give up this year. Let's
yeah.
just give up
Okay,
2020
tell
and
me.
move out of here.
Tell me your Mexico was on the
Yeah,
cards at one stage.
yeah,
Tell me
absolutely. Still is.
a couple of the highlights and a couple of the lowlights.
Well, let me tell you, one of the things that got me through the year, and you could go back to our early shows and you could see where I went into our pool on the driveway. I use this as a weight for one of our lamps. It's the giant shark float. Doesn't really look like much of a shark there, does it? Maybe here. Oh, there's his mouth. Giant, which I use as a weight now for one of the lights here. But having that pool, above ground pool, can you get more low class
In the driveway. In the
in the
driveway.
driveway? Can you get more upscale? Can you get more exciting, sexy Vegas than having an above ground pool in your driveway? But let me tell you, I loved it. It helped keep me sane. And
That's saying
let's see.
something.
semi-sane. What else? I had a very nice trip to help my daughter. I took just kind of snuck in there between the virus and went back to Philadelphia to see her, and that was a good trip.
The
Back
state
east.
of corruption, of course.
No. Philadelphia, Pennsylvania is a
I've been
progressive
there.
city, and it's really
You've
interesting.
showed me around the place, and it's a lovely state.
Yes.
It's just underlying, under the bricks, the pavements, there's this evil. I think it's from the Democrats. It's a Democrat
what you
feeling
got a
that they
situation-
alter the election.
It's a schizophrenic state because you have the big city, Philadelphia. You have another fairly big city, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Oh my gosh, they won their first 11 football games in a row this year. Then they lost 3 in a row. Unbelievable. Anyway, so you have very progressive Philadelphia, fairly progressive Pittsburgh, and like Kentucky and West Virginia in the middle. You call it Pennsyltucky there because it really is pretty much just Appalachia in between these two big cities, which makes for interesting politics in the Keystone State, to say the least. And by the way, a little bit of American trivia for you. That is not actually a state. Pennsylvania is a commonwealth, not a state. It's the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, and there are a couple of others, believe it or not, the Commonwealth of Kentucky and Commonwealth of Virginia. Everything else is a state in the U.S. I think they might have had a ballot measure this year, one of the more interesting ones. He'd have to double check me on this. I'm just kind of winging it. But Rhode Island, the smallest state as far as landmass goes, with the longest names, it was the state of Rhode Island and Providence Plantations. And I think they voted finally to lop off the Providence Plantations from the name of the state in Rhode Island. So just some minutia of what happened this year. But I'm trying to think of good things. I lived through it. Got to float in the pool a lot. What else good happened?
The ducks are healthy. The rabbits are healthy.
Yeah.
Joe Biden still has 75% of his marbles. I mean, we would say marbles, so that's great.
That's okay. Even if you were right about that, even if it was just 75%, I'll take Joe Biden's 75% of his marbles than Donald Trump, who was off the evil deep end. And, one of the things that he's done, he's executed more federal prisoners, I think, in the last year than there have been executed in the last 130 years. He's just death on the way out. There's a hashtag on Twitter, which is hi, how are you? How are you? Nice to see you. About everything Trump touches dies. It's like ETTD. Everything Trump touches dies. And he's certainly trying to live up to that on the way out. The death penalty, one of the stupidest punishments you could have. It's much more cost effective when you look at the appeals, the amount of labor, everything involved in it, to keep someone with a life prison sentence than with a death sentence. But don't tell that to Trump and the Republicans, because they're pro-life. That's right. They're pro-life. So, and of course, they could be wrong. And if you got the person alive, you can always say, "Oh, sorry about that." But if they're dead, it's tough to bring them back.
But we have Kamala. I mean, I've said the name right, Kamala. Kamala. But
Kamala.
Look, she uses California as part of her platform of her success. Well, just looking at who's leaving California, such as Elon Musk moving to Texas, Larry Ellison to Hawaii, Gene Simmons to Washington. And look at the numbers that have left California in the last year.
Who are you talking about, Gene Simmons?
No, I put him in because he's your favourite singer. But give me a tongue like Gene Simmons. I want to see it.
Gene was great. I mean, Gene's a little wild now with his political views. But Gene used to intimidate the hell out of me when I started in radio. He would come into the studio and do interviews. And back in the beginning, Gene would be not in makeup, obviously, but that was in the days when they couldn't get their pictures without makeup. So you would think it was the president coming in with as much security as they had, because those days the paparazzi was still trying to get their unmade up faces. It was a fun interview. He was a fun. I took calls one day. One of the few things I actually remember about being on the radio. I wish I might have it somewhere, but this caller called in, and she said, "Gene, what makes you think you're so good in bed? What makes you think you're so good in bed?" And without dropping a beat, it was almost like they planned it. I don't think they did, but it's almost like he planned it. Gene Simmons says, "Because every time I'm in bed, all I ever hear is, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God."
She was very religious.
But it was
She was very religious. Now, back to California, back to Kamala. Kamala.
Yeah.
Kamala,
Yeah, Kamala.
one of those, all three, and she probably has that many personalities. Look at California has lost, they say, around about 653,000 residents last year. Now they're moving to Texas, Arizona, Washington, Nevada to see you, obviously, and Oregon. Is that just because of, take away the COVID? Is that more because of the lack of law and order now, and you've got a new district attorney there, a Soros-backed district attorney?
It's all money related. California is a wonderful place to live and crowd related. But when, especially, I used to say it beforehand, and that's one of the reasons that Nevada, 20 years ago, a reliable conservative state, a Republican state, has now become a reliable Democrat state, is because so many people have moved here. I used to call them the California refugees. And just in the time that I've lived here, you can see a noticeable increase in traffic, especially in the peripheral areas of the communities that we've got. And now with COVID, with somebody who can work from home, why work from home in a 2-bedroom apartment in San Jose that you're paying $3,000 a month for, when you can come to Vegas and for $2,000 a month rent or buy a very nice house with a pool in the backyard, and you can chill and enjoy the good life. So if it doesn't matter where you live, the economics say it's a much better deal to come here. And then you also have the economic incentives. Places like Tulsa, Oklahoma, and who wouldn't want to go there? They're offering
You wouldn't.
No, never. They'll give you like $10,000 to show up, if you stay a certain length of time. Vermont, if you're into skiing, I guess that's good. Even Hawaii is offering incentives to work from home on the Aloha State. I couldn't live there. You did, of course, Mike.
Yes, you went there, and you had a wonderful weekend helping me crank up one of our radio stations.
At convenience stores. But, the reason I couldn't live there is not that. That was actually kind of an interesting experience. It's the fact they need some consonants in the Hawaiian alphabet. It's like, you forget about buy a vowel. Let's buy some consonants, because I couldn't pronounce anything.
Do you know, you have this attraction to Hawaii. I say that because the second largest Hawaiian city in the world is Las Vegas.
Yeah, well, yes, that's probably true. Just like the second largest Greek city in the world is Melbourne. We are, in fact, the 9th island, and you do definitely see a Hawaiian influence. And the hotel downtown, the Californian, ought to change their name to the Hawaiian, because it really does cater to the Hawaiian clientele. But now you've got to go through this rigmarole. You can go to the Hawaiian Air page, and we are getting, I think, 1 flight a day now or something like that. But what a rigmarole to get there, to show the COVID test, everything.
It's worth it.
No. I mean, I'm sure the outer islands are nice, but I've just hung out with you on Oahu, and Oahu, it's a traffic jam on a rock.
It is, it is. But a lovely place to have a traffic jam, let me tell you.
To be stuck in traffic. Well, let's just hope for the best here in 2021. It's going to be a wild ride. That is for sure. I think we've kind of got no place to go but up. And if President Biden can do what he proposes to do, to be a president for all people and unite America, it's going to be like a miracle worker, because it's a scary, divided time here in the United States. And it's interesting to see New South Wales, freaking out, closing the border over, 15, 20 cases of COVID. Here, we're saying, we did better today. We only had 2,500 cases here in Nevada, mostly here in Las Vegas, and you wonder why I hang out here in the OLA. So, I mean, it'd be amazing to see, to get us together. And I was reading some of the travel guidelines from Queensland Police, and all I can say to myself is that would be impossible here in the United States. There would be blood in the streets, and Australians, let's just face it, a little more civilized than Americans. Well, present company may be excluded.
That's right. But see, you're almost an Australian yourself. Kirk, have a great 2021. Don't drink too much on New Year's Eve, although you have a great supply of liquor.
And I just can't wait to get the shark blown up again and get back in the pool in the driveway.
A little cold right now.
Oh, and there's somebody violating the speed limit down our road right now.
Kirk Clyatt from Las Vegas, Nevada's #1 Democrat. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.